Welcome to Trade Buzz. I'm Martin. I'm here with Jamie, and today we're going to be talking about customs valuation methods. So Jamie, what is customs valuation and how is it determined for imported goods?
Customs valuation is the established value for assessing duties on an import. And so it becomes really important to make sure that that's correct because everything afterwards all the duties are assessed based off of that value. There is an established methodology and a requirement to follow a methodology for that customs valuation. There are various different types. The main ones are transaction value, which is really the price paid or payable, ideally which should be for all transactions, but sometimes that's not if there's not a sale that's going on, sometimes that can be a little difficult. So there's identical, similar, deductive, and computed, and fallback. So those are the different types that are there. We're not going to go through all the details of each of those today, but just to make sure to understand that in coming up with that valuation, it's not just a real easy number to come up with. You have to follow the guidelines that are established in order to come up with that.
So where do you think companies encounter the biggest challenges when it comes to valuation?
I think one of the biggest issues is that they don't know what to include and what to exclude. And I think that becomes the biggest problem that most companies face, is if they don't have a real robust program, they may have the wrong value to start with, but then there may be things like assists. An assist is when a company that's importing maybe gives something to the supplier, like a mold or something to make the final product. Well, that cost of that mold that was provided, even if it was provided no cost to the supplier, needs to be included in the value of the goods. Royalties, there's also transfer pricing adjustments that are made. So if you're a related party and you're doing transfer pricing, there could be adjustments made, and if those adjustments are not accounted for, it's wrong. So really making sure that the finance and the accounting teams are all together and working collectively to assess that value is the most important thing.
Okay. So what helps ensure valuation is accurate and defensible?
It's establishing that consistent methodology from the very beginning. So again, working with finance, working with tax, working with compliance teams to set that up correctly from the start. And because there are so many different methods, you want to make sure you're using the right method. And so if you start off wrong at the beginning, everything's going to be off from then on out. And it goes back to what we've said many times in our Trade Buzz, is establishing that policy and that procedure and documenting that along the way. I do think for valuation, the most important thing is creating a committee within the organization that's represented by all the folks that represent that valuation, and working with your tax team. One of the biggest areas I see for issues is on the transfer pricing between related parties, is that the IRS has a version of what transfer pricing is, and customs has a version. And there is some similarities, but there's also some pretty stark differences. Wow. And so companies will do their valuation to make the IRS happy and unknowingly mess up the valuation for customs. So working together and making sure that you're following the guidelines in your reporting for each of those organizations or government institutions is the most critical part of all of this.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for explaining that for us. And thank you for joining us for Trade Buzz.
Thank you, and stay vigilant.